Hi. So in this video, I'm going to go over a little bit more about programming because I use that word a lot. So I'll go over how I think of it. And of course, with everything else on this journey of shifting your paradigm and sustaining your happiness, it's about standing in your personal truth. So that's what a lot of my teaching style is all about, is I talk about my truths that work for me, and I found a whole other community and it works for them. And it's definitely sustained my my happiness. So, and a lot of that is to do with removing programs that don't work for me and then adopting new programs that do work for me. And a big program that's wonderful for everybody is the Golden Rule. That's a program in itself. It's a system in place that is it's culturally accepted and globally. It's just a way. It's a philosophy of life. Do unto others as you would like for them to do unto you. And so that in itself is a program. So another way to look at it is its belief systems, or they are systems, or they are influences, societal, governmental, political, religious, familial, corporate culture. Those are all programs, things that are acceptable versus unacceptable. And so what I've learned on my journey and throughout my whole life is that there was always so much resistance with widely accepted programming, widely accepted norms that, as I started to go through my awakening in 2014 and 2015, the resistance was so high, so much, I felt so out of place that I conformed, and the universe was like, oh no, what are we going to do with this one? So that's why in 2020, I finally was like, you know what? I'm not conforming, especially since we're in lockdown. I can develop my own beliefs. And that's why a lot of people who go through a spontaneous spiritual awakening, they go into what's known as hermit mode. And the reason they do that is to create such strong boundaries that no outside influence can affect their personal truth. So that's why it's so important to create boundaries if you're not going through a spiritual awakening. However, you do want to kind of sift through what works for you versus what doesn't. And, sometimes it gets more difficult. I worked in a very, very conservative work environment for a while. That's actually why I have this tattoo now. It was my promise to myself to never work in that atmosphere again, because enough was enough. I had done it for 10 years and it just wasn't working for me. And I was trying to fit in. I was trying to do the right thing. I was really trying to be a good girl, but it wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for my spirit. And so that's what causes depression and anxiety and panic and, over drinking and self-medicating and not sleeping right. And that, of course, has a ripple effect, a domino effect, where it affects your health, your mental health, your emotional health, your relationships, everything. So when we're not authentic and we're not true to ourselves and we're trying to fit into this cookie cutter system, it has some really bad effects. And this is very apparent throughout our society and our culture. We see a lot of people just lashing out and going crazy. Really, if we really learn to have compassion for folks who just, went off the deep end, if we really take a look at the root problem of it, chances are they were trying to conform in a system that didn't work for them. And there was a lack of compassion, and I honestly think that's why there's a lot of suicides and a lot of outbursts and shootings and things like that. It's horrible, but we don't have a mental health system in place that's able to help people that are in that gray area where they want to be a good person, but we're in a system filled with programs that aren't working with their spirit, And so this is an opportunity to, of course, take the high road and still figure out what works for you and what doesn't, and being okay with saying no with certain ideals that just don't work for you personally. And so, when I had my awakening, it was really nice to be able to, it was a transformation. So it was very layered. There was a lot of layers to it. I thought I was just on a personal growth transformation, and then it turned into something much, much more grand and magical because I allowed it to, and I was reaching for something more and more and more, and I wanted my utmost fulfillment. And that's why, the more spiritual and mindful lifestyle path is that worked for me. It doesn't work for everyone. I learned through personal development and self-discovery that I am an empath, and I never honored that part of myself. I never truly honored that. I didn't know how to protect myself from other people's energies. Some people aren't as empathetic or sensitive. I was always told, you're too sensitive, and it felt like a curse, because I would walk into a room and absorb all these energies of other people, and I didn't know where it was coming from, or how to decipher what it was. And so I was trying to fit in. So my way was to drink and to numb all that. And so now by knowing this and realizing I'm not too sensitive, this is actually a superpower. It's not a curse. It's not, there's something wrong with me, but that was society saying that, oh, you're lighten up, you're too sensitive. And really it was just, I was trying to fit in, and I without being self-aware enough to realize that, who I really was. And so that's why it's good to carve out some time and have your own personal transformation, so you can really truly be your authentic self unapologetically. And the way we move around, life unapologetically is knowing what programs work for us and which programs don't work for us. And so there's the top ones, there's the entertainment industry, in Hollywood, we see certain archetypes, and ooh, that one resonates with me, this one doesn't, but a lot of it is subconscious programming. That's where a lot of our programs come from. It's how we were raised, what was acceptable in our household, what was acceptable in the school we went to. Here's an example. Someone might have went to Catholic school, but their soul, it didn't resonate with their soul, but it was their family tradition, and it was, on paper, it's great, right? We want some nice structure and have a very positive, template, for this young man or woman's life. But that spirit was like, I don't like these ideals, I want to be more free. There's a lot of fear in place, there's a lot of that fear, instillment, is that a word? that doesn't resonate, so, and then there's another person maybe with a very similar type of frequency or soul or spirit, and they're able to go to whatever a different kind of school where it wasn't so conservative, and they were able to, and then in turn they ended up being happier because they're able to be their authentic self. They didn't feel oppressed or resistant so much. So I'm not saying, rules are bad. I'm just saying that certain rules are kind of meant to be broken. A big one is no sex before marriage. That was something that was so instilled in me, that a lot of people, when they do have sex before marriage, they walk around with so much shame, and they're not able to even enjoy, that. And so that's takes some finesse to remove that program. That it's actually okay. What do you believe? What do you believe? Do you feel like your intentions are good with this other person? Do you feel like there's love there? That's your truth then. If you feel like you love this person and you want to, be intimate with them, that's up to you and your soul and their soul, and that's so none of anyone else's business, That's how I see it. That's how I see it personally. And you could disagree with me there, but that's a program that I've adopted. Like, it is okay, it's just the lack of judgment is what makes us more free, and the universe really does not judge us. We are the ones that judge ourselves. And so when we start to remove that paradigm, it really helps us to be who we really are, unapologetically, authentically, and the universe rewards that when we can live, by the golden rule, just don't harm somebody, and we're good. Do what makes you feel joy. So that's those are a couple of examples that this is an off the cuff video. The more I try to outline it, the more I'm like too rigid, and it doesn't work out very well. But a lot. So another big one, another big one. This works a lot with our subconscious mind. This is why I don't like primetime TV or daytime TV, because there's a lot of pharmaceutical industry programming telling you that there's something wrong with you, when really there's many other avenues for healing. You got to have this pill which has like a billion side effects. That's a program. That is definitely a program, and that's just one of thousands of different programs we have to kind of sift through and feel like this. And this is where my intuition, this may not be for everyone, or it might be for everybody, where we'll hear the commercial going on in the background and we just get cringy. It's because we know it's BS. This is bullshit. This isn't. They're like making up different ailments and sicknesses that it's like you're just making that up so you can sell us something to solve it. When really we just have to pay attention to our health, and stay ahead of this. That's a big part of a healthy lifestyle, is staying ahead of any illness and disease. And that's by living, in alignment, So yeah, the news, a huge one, that's programming, instilling that fear again. That's how they control the masses, is by instilling fear, because that makes us perfectly, it's a very manipulative tactic, is to keep the masses in a fear-based, operating in fear. And then that's when the advertisers swoop in and you need this, you've got to have that, and this is going to make your life better. And again, that's a lot of it's subconscious. Some of us see right through it. We're like, okay, I don't need that car. But some of us, subconsciously fall for it. We do. And so this is, again, why I think it's so important to create boundaries with social media and mass media. And just use your discernment when it comes to wanting to know what's happening globally and what's happening in the news and what's happening in the world. Of course, we want to know. Just be mindful of it, how much of it we allow in. And if there's any of that, cringiness, shut it off, and then go absorb something that's lighthearted and wholesome. And there's so much more beauty in the world than there is disaster. And so it's really good to adopt that mindset into shifting your paradigm, or when we're really trying to live a happy life, really consciously, be aware of how much negative we're allowing in. There's a lot of negative programming, and so that's why affirmations are so important, is because, okay, I had enough negative for the day. Let's affirm some positivity into our lives. And so, yeah, a lot of this was in schools, like the school system. Even social programming within the school. This is where I had a lot of social anxiety. I'm not very cliquey or, the follow the trends type of a person. I don't see anything wrong with it. But for me, there was something wrong with it. I knew that's something I knew from an early age, that I didn't want to fit in with that. It just wasn't me. It wasn't my style. I wanted to wear whatever funky clothes I wanted to that day. I like to mismatch. I like to be funky, and that was frowned upon. In elementary school, I was always made fun of because of my socks, or because of, my baggy pants, or whatever it was. And so that's programming too. Like, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. And so when we start to normalize that, that's why there's so much bullying. And it's like, if we embraced individualism and embraced weirdness, then we'd be, the world would be a much happier place, I think. To each their own, So yeah, programming can come in many forms, and I'm sure there's other words for it, but it's just something that's easy to say, and a lot of it is happening on a subconscious level, and so that's why it's important when we're going through any kind of transformation to really push back any of the outside influence, at least for a little while, so that we can start to sift what's really right for us, what resonates with us, what speaks to our heart, more than our mind, or our rational, logical mind. There's even the belief that you must you must have this much money to get married, or things like that. That's a program. Tradition is a program. So I'm very non-traditional. I'm very out of the box in so many ways, and that was never really. It's not that it was never celebrated. I feel like it's becoming more celebrated now, we are stepping into the Aquarian age, and things are a lot more free and more feminine, but all growing up, it was like, there's so much resistance. Like, I don't want to wear a white wedding dress on my wedding day. I want to wear yellow or, something else. I don't know. So yeah, it's about, and then some people love tradition. They love it, love it, love it. In some ways I do too. I'm starting to learn to love certain traditions. I was always more drawn to, like, I love Indian weddings, for example. Love them. They're so colorful, and there's drumming and percussion, and it's very festive and lively and just free, and someone else loves the white dress and the veil and all that stuff. And that's great. That's what makes their heart sing. That's exactly what I mean. Everyone's different. So this is about embracing our individuality and not following the masses and not conforming to every single program. We don't have to. So it's a very freeing and liberating feeling to know that we can reject certain programs and then adopt the ones that work for us. This is huge in transformation, whether it's a personal growth transformation or spiritual transformation. Just kind of journaling about it and talking about it and gravitating towards what is, what lights you up versus what makes you feel constricted and confined. And that doesn't sit right with me, that's all it is. So when I say programming, that's what I'm talking about. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope it resonated with you. I'm kidding. Okay, bye.